Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium, here today to bring you another wonderful card. It's the double Z fold or double Z fold, depending on where you're from. So we have used a lovely fall paper, Happy Fall from Echo Park, quickly becoming a favorite, but I think every paper I use is a favorite in some regards. And this is why it's called the double Z or double Z. And it's relatively simple to put together. I love the fact that there are so many panels, so you can use a lot of the different designer paper. Really shows off that wonderful designer paper. And again, because the packs are put together in such a way that you've got some pattern to go in the background, the lovely designer paper that has images can go in the foreground. There's so much you can do with this card. It's just fantastic. So that is the finished project. Let's go through some of the pieces that you're going to be needing today. So I have used a brown cardstock, which admittedly doesn't look all that impressive when you just have it, you know, by itself. But once you put that pattern paper on it, it just does. It does what it does. And so I've done all the scoring ahead of time, so I got a little bit ahead of myself yesterday. But anyways, so this bottom piece, which is the biggest piece, is 4 1/4 by 11. And we did some scoring at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. And so what we did first is we folded it in half, and then we folded the flat back. And that's what gives you that shape. Okay, the second piece in the same color was done at 3 1/2 by 9 3/4. And this is scored at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. Same score lines as on your bigger piece. Amazing. It kind of blows the mind that really the only difference is the sizes, but the scoring is the exact same. And yet you end up with something like this. I don't understand. Well, I do, but that's for placement later. And then what we've done is on the base of this card, got my pieces kind of all over the place. What I did was I cut, this is basically the opposite. These pieces are the opposite to what I used on this card. And I just wanted to see, again, kind of play around with the pieces. So we have 2 pieces that are cut at 2 1/2 by 4. And so you're going to have 2 pieces. Up to you what designer paper you're using. If you want these to be the same, that's okay. If you want them to be different, that's what I've done. So it's totally fine. Then you have this piece, this long piece, which goes at the back here. This one is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, so we've got all those designer pieces. And then the next set of designer pieces, I use this lovely acorn paper and the one with the trees with the different patterns for the foliage. Also in some lovely fall colors. And these ones are cut, so these two are going to be 2 1/2 by 3 1/4. So these two are going to be identical. And again, you can play around with this a little bit. Because of the number of panels, you can leave this one blank maybe for a sentiment. You could leave this one blank. Just keep in mind that you will, if you write on this side, you're going to see it once it's closed. And the other thing too, though, is you can always flip it around, cut a white piece of paper, a cardstock, and stick it on the back. If you decided to do that, you would cut it the same size as the base panel. So this one is 5 1/4 by 4, and you could just put it on the back and just have the designer paper and whatever else you decided to use to be kind of the decorative part of the card on the front and the sentiment on the back. It's completely up to you. I guess it depends on how much you've got to say. And so I think I've gone through, oh no, I skipped this one, sorry. This one is 4 by 3 1/4. All right, so we're good with all these. So what we're going to start doing now, it's just a matter of layering. Once you've got all your cards scored and folded and you've gone over them, burnished them really nicely with the bone folder, you're set to go. So I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm going to start layering. So we're going to start first with the base. Now this isn't overly complicated. I'm sure if you've made cards before, you've gone ahead and, you know, you're used to sticking stuff down and everything else. But I'm just going to show you when it comes time to glue the two pieces together, the two bases, for lack of a better word, together. There's just a little quick, I guess, a quick tip that I have for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all these things, all these pieces are going to be adhered down, and then I will come right back and I'll show you how to put the card together. Okay, so before I actually get these last two panels glued down, what I did want to note is if you are going to do anything with this panel, if this panel is going to be blank and your space for your sentiment, you're going to want to write it before the top piece gets adhered to the bottom, because if you notice, it doesn't quite lay flat. There's a little bit of difference between the two. So if you had to write on it after it was put on, it may be a little bit of a challenge. So just something to note. So if I was going to write on this, I would probably write on it now. Same thing with this piece. If you were going to have that as your sentiment piece, whether it was the entire thing or even if you folded it in half and just cut out another piece that was this size, the 2.5 by 3.25, you could always put a slightly smaller panel. Oh, it fits. If you wanted that to be white, you could always have that as white as well. So I'm going to quickly glue these down, and then we can get to assembling. And again, just another card that has a real wow factor when you're using different types of, or different designer paper. If it comes from, see, that's another one that comes from the same pack. All of it's double-sided and they all go so well together that it really is, you know, a no-brainer when it comes to selecting all the designer paper. You know it's all going to work together. Okay, so here we go. So here we're done with the base card and, well, the two bases. And we're going to want to make sure that when we adhere it, that it is as centered as possible, like you'll see in this one. So what I did initially is you're just making note, and you can easily just take a pencil and mark it if you wanted to. Now you are marking on the front, so you'll just have to translate that to the back. So for this one, it's right around here. And of course, you're going to have to get rid of your pencil marks on the front, but it's a dark paper, so it shouldn't be too bad. So if I really wanted to make note of where the card comes to an end, and I'm definitely going to stay well within that, just make sure you get your edges, excuse me, your edges all nice and gluey, however you want to say it. And I'm going to tuck that in. The base piece is going to be tucked in to where I kind of want to have that sitting. You don't want to push the top. Let me move that over. You don't want to push this right to the end. I mean, you can, but it looks a little bit awkward. So I'm going to I'm going to pull it out just a little bit. And then we're going to lay that down because it's liquid glue, we've got a little bit of time to play before we adhere that. Oops. My multi-tool, get that to press that down. And then on the back side, you can glue, you want it all the way across, all the way up and down. Oopsie. Okay. Perfect. And then when gluing this part down, again, I'm going to lift it up a little bit, and you want it really to kind of lay down. Here we go. So I've got it lifted up a little bit. I'm going to look to see that I've got everything aligned, and I think I do. I'm not looking on top, so this is a little bit of a guessing game. And then we press that down. Take our bone folder multi-tool and make sure that that's nicely adhered. And then the finishing touches could be some ephemera. All I did on this one was I took one of the stickers from the sticker sheet that I have right here handy, and I can do the same thing with this one. I took a little bit of the brown paper that I had as one of like the little trimmings. There are a lot of different little words that you could certainly use on the front. Ooh, I like this grateful for you. So I'm going to do that for this one. And you do have some paper that gets trimmed when you're making your base cards. And so I'm just going to put that on there. Take my scissors, because fussy cutting a square or a rectangle, if it's got straight lines, I'm all about it. And then I took some of my foam squares. Ooh, hopefully these are not too big. There we go. Just big enough. Put 3 on there. Take off the backing, which always wants to stick to something, someone. Oops. Oh, come on. And then place it wherever you'd like to place it. Top corner. I love having things a little bit offset. You know, and this way there's really not a lot of, measuring. If putting it in the middle is going to stress you out, I would just do it a little bit off to one side. And that way, there's intention behind it. You don't have to worry about it being right in the middle. And there we have it. 2 beautiful cards using the same paper from the Happy Fall pack by Echo Park, which is currently available at fabulouspaperemporium.com. I thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed our time together, so I hope you'll hit subscribe. Give me a big old thumbs up, please. That would really help me as far as, knowing what people are looking for. That would be fantastic. And I hope to see you again. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay well. Bye.